Hey, everybody, welcome on back. It's the You Gotta Try This podcast with myself, Large, with Ian behind the ones and twos, making sure this doesn't look like it was shot on a fucking potato. And our special guest today, who's going to sit in with us for the final episode of 2025, is none other than my good friend Jenks, who was raised by wolves. So Jenks was abandoned as a child at a zoo. His parents had left him. He had a balloon that he was carrying, and his parents thought that that would be a discerning feature that the cops could kind of track down. They popped the balloon, and they left him in a coyote enclosure. The coyotes took him as one of their own. They dragged him behind the enclosure where they kept him for 12 years before anybody had noticed that this long-haired, muscular guy had been left there so many years ago. So Jenks is a guy who primarily works with Frank the Tank, and I give him credit, as most people do, as the guy who had saved Frank's life. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into my relationship with him, which had started when he had fought in Rough and Rowdy. And I promise you, we've probably done, I don't know, upwards of 30 or 40 of these episodes so far. This is the healthiest person that we've had on the show. We were trying to figure out who before Jenks was a guy who you could say, guy or gal, who you could say was healthy. And I would probably say either Lisa, maybe it is one of the girls, like maybe Hannah is maybe, it's certainly not Kadick. Stu Feiner, are you fucking kidding me? We've had Frank the Tank on probably 30 pounds ago. So we've had a couple of big boys on, including myself. But Jenks is just one of those guys who is ripped like Jesus on the cross. Jenks, thanks for coming in. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
What do you think, Jenks? What did you think when you first came to Barstool and you got this opportunity to work with Frank and you were like, look at this guy. He's an absolute mess. He's the anti-Jenks. Did you automatically take him as a pet project? Because you'll agree with me that Frank Walks is a entertaining piece of content, but also that impetus that has him now. How many straight days has he walked?
He's over 800. We're getting almost at 810 now while we're filming this.
I can guarantee you that for the 5 or 6 people who are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast right now, nobody has 800 straight days of walking.
Well, I was saying to Frank, I don't know how many things in life you could find somebody did 800 days in a row outside of, eat, shit, piss, sleep,
right,
that sort of stuff. It's very hard to be that consistent with anything. When I got hired, I had zero even idea in my head of doing anything vis-a-vis weight loss with Frank. In the summer of 2023, my dear friend Stu Feiner, before I was hired, was having me at his house almost every weekend. And I would watch Frank go through like a pack of soda, multiple bags of chips. I mean, he ate like a lunatic. Mm-hmm. And he was so stubborn, and I was so terrified of him at first that, I never would have thought to question him on what he was eating or tell him he needs to start exercising. It was really Mikey
Terrified
Betts.
of him in what way? Was it one of those things where you just didn't want him to start to freak out, as he certainly does quite often? Or were you terrified for him because you thought he was going to die tomorrow if he didn't change courses?
I was terrified of stopping the momentum of our friendship.
Okay.
Because I was still figuring him out as a person.
Yeah,
and I think the biggest mistake with Frank that the world made was, while enjoying his content, everyone took the judge approach opposed to the curiosity approach. Mm. And I think if more people even years ago had asked Frank some questions about, his past, what gets him so angry, what are some of the root causes of this stuff, people would understand him a lot better and empathize with him a lot more. But instead, it's either he's funny and then you get tired and stop listening, or he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a reflection of how society is now.
I love Frank. So he was one of the first guys that we had on. And when he came on, I'm telling you, he was 6 o'clock straight up and down the whole time. We didn't have any kind of, because it is a triggering type thing with him, particularly yesterday with some of the stuff. And this is dropping on the 29th. So this, like I said, is the last game of the year. But we had a couple of Mets headlines. And I did look into the gambling cave as he was going on one of his tirades. And you just had your head down like, Jesus Christ, here we go again. But
yeah.
If you can avoid those triggers, right, which I think can be off-putting to some people, Frank is such a charming guy. He can be a sweet dude. And I had put in front of him once, hey, you want to do a twisted history of Frank the Tank? That way we can just break down everything that's happened to you since conception, basically, you know what I mean, on up. And he was like, I'd rather not. He's like, I will come on Twisted History. I'll come on anything that you do, and I'll talk about sports and food and all that stuff. But he does keep, I think, some of the stuff that's made him the way he is a little bit close to the vest. I think conversely, you're probably an open book. A lot of people are. But I think Frank does have some stuff in his past that's caused some of the problems that he has in the present, even though they're less problematic than they were since he started working with you. And so I respect the shit out of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to know, you know, if he's had the same travails that I did when I was an altar boy, which is, you know, walking through a minefield of hot priests.
Well, I think even just on the most simple of levels, he had a tough childhood and he was picked on his whole life. He grew up in an era where people weren't protected the way they are now. And the baseball and the sports, it all ties back to that. But going back to the health part, one thing that I always want to emphasize is that Mikey Betts is the one who took me aside. Once I had been like 6 months into working for Frank for free. Really, I paid like 5 figures to work for Frank for a year.
Yeah.
And it paid off in spades. Like, I could not be more happy with all.
We're going to rewind and talk about that too, because it is amazing.
But Mikey took me aside and he said, listen, Jenks, you're close enough with him now. He's not going to be offended. It's not going to change anything. But you need to say something to him about like walking or doing something. And we were looking at his calves. If you remember, they used to be like
blue,
dark blue.
Yes.
And I told Frank, we should go start walking. Like we really should. You like all the history in the city. We don't need to do anything crazy. Just let's just see what we can do. And he goes, all right, let's do it. And we went for the walk. And I have that video from the first day. You could probably edit it in, where he says, you know, I think I'm going to try to walk once or twice a week. After the first walk, so for the last 800 plus, I've never had to say a word of encouragement, of firing him up, of trying to get him going. It's the complete inverse. If anything, he stresses me out all the time with my step count's only X or it's only Y.
Really?
Like, Frank, we're going to get there. Yeah, he completely bought in. And I think
But that's going from 0 to that.
Yes.
Like, this isn't a guy who was like, I feel if I get on a health kick, I'll be going back to when I used to be healthy. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I used to be athletic, which maybe people are laughing at, but you know, when I used to be athletic, I don't know if Frank has that before to get to this after part. So I think I can maybe turn it on again and start going to the gym, and there'll be some muscle memory, literally some muscle memory, and I can kind of get back into it because I have some familiarity. But this guy who's on the back nine of life, as I am, to sort of pick this up and be like, you know, this walk felt good. I want to do it for the fucking rest of my life. I don't know. It's extraordinary because you usually can't introduce somebody to a health regimen without them waking up every day and being like, Jesus fucking Christ, I got to do this again.
Let's be clear about this. When Frank started, he was 47 years old. His A1C was somewhere between 10 and 11%. His weight was fluctuating around 400 pounds. You put that into an AI or Google search, you are on the doorstep of death. You could die any day. Right. Like that's quite literally what you get, amputations, all kinds of things, but you are on the doorstep of death. So it's so important for everybody out there, wherever you are in life. The most rewarding thing of this job for me, I'm a stoolie. So like being next to you, Large, hanging out with all the people in this office, I still am giddy over it. I have to play the pool every day. I'm still a fan. Okay. Like Rico talking about, you know, getting ziti and sauce back in the day. Like I'm buddies with Rico now. Like that stuff, it's crazy to me. But out of all of it, getting messages from people that have cancer, that had that come out of heart failure, that have all these different incredible stories, they started walking because of Frank. And why is it because of Frank? It's not because Frank is sexy or cool or, you know, some sort of flashy guy. It's actually the opposite. Frank was completely obese. He seemed like he had completely given up on himself physically, mentally, across the board. And all it took, and this is so important for people to think about, was one person going out of their way to really make an effort. And I made a big fucking effort. I'm not gonna mitigate what I did, but at the same time, I don't think I had to do nearly as much as I did. I think that was me, that's how I'm wired. But Frank just needed to feel the support. And if you pull up that first video, because I remember it so well in that fucking moment, and every time I watch that video, it gets me. He says, I want to walk more, but the thing is, I get kind of bored when I walk alone. And that all he's saying is,
I want somebody to do it with me.
I just need somebody to help me a little bit.
That's like
here.
a cry for help.
I need a little bit of support.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's not all about fitness or diet or whatever, but you can do so much good if you just check in on people and you don't just do the how you doing, but then you do the follow-up and the second follow-up and the third follow-up, and you call not just once a year, but once a month, once a week. And you get people to open up just a fucking little bit.
Right.
And you can actually change the whole trajectory of their life. And there's nothing more rewarding than that.
Sure.
So with Frank, going back to what you said, he has this incredibly hard shell around him. And a lot of it's real rage and trauma from like his life. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the way he dealt with that and coped with that was eating and stress eating and just pouring poison into his body.
Right.
And then screaming and being vile about sports teams. Now, when you think about all the crazy people in the world yelling and screaming awful things, Frank's yelling about sports stuff, and most of it's fictitious nonsense. Uh-huh. So it's pretty innocuous at the heart of it. And I remember for that first year or so, I used to wonder things like, will Frank ever say thank you? Or will Frank ever say good morning? Or will, like little things that Frank didn't have, social etiquette.
Yeah, because he was a social misfit for most of his life. So I found that the interaction with him, I had an interaction with him when I first started here where I won't get too much into it, but I had given him just a random act of charity. And, because it was something that I'd seen that I also wanted to put an end to. And the next day I get at my desk was a thank you card, like a little one from Hallmark with like a $25 gift card in it to like fucking Best Buy or something like that. And like, it was so fucking thoughtful.
Frank doesn't throw around money.
He does. Or it was.
That's like a diamond ring.
It was like a random thing. And I don't remember where the gift card was from, but it wasn't like one of those Amazon gift cards or like I think he went to that rack in CVS and saw the thousands of different gift cards you can get now. And I think he took the time to be like, you know what? I bet Large uses headphones. So he got me the Best Buy one instead of getting me, he doesn't eat the fucking Olive Garden. Like, maybe something like that. And it meant the world to me, because he doesn't necessarily, he's not overly warm unless it's in the perfect situation. There isn't a tremendous amount of warmth from Frank, and that's fine.
So, and that's how it felt for a very long time.
Right.
And then it was somewhere, it must have been just about a year in, because that would make sense because we met in February of 2023. So it was probably February. I'd have to look at the date, but we had a Devils game on a Saturday. And I think it was the first 200 days. I was with Frank 7 days a week, every single day of the week. And nobody told me to do that. Even the people upstairs were like, stop doing that. What are you doing? That's totally insane. But I knew we had to keep the walk streak going. That's what he was used to. And still, like I was saying, I wanted to make sure we were fully set before I took any personal space, because I wanted to get him fully on the right track. Mm-hmm. And again, in my head, I'm like, I wonder how much he appreciates it. I don't care, because I'm like living my dream and we're doing great stuff and this is all awesome. I'm not doing this for Frank to say thank you, but I'm trying to figure this guy out, because it's a big part of my life and I actually care about him. And one of the reasons, and we can get into it a little bit later, that I think I'm so into health. I had about a dozen friends that I grew up with overdose from drugs. We had a real problem with opioids where I grew up.
Where'd you grow up?
In Westchester, New York.
Westchester, okay.
So a really slippery slope, kind of comes into your town, comes into your high school. If you're lower classmen, they get into the harder drugs. And 4 of my actual best friends died. Now, when this day happened in February, 3 of them had died. And Mike Landers was still alive. He was really one of my best friends.
Okay.
The core 4 or 5 guys you grow up with. You have pictures from preschool through until you're an adult and you're at the weddings. And our other best friend, Ryan, who's like the rock, the absolute rock of all of our buddies. He'll never see this because he doesn't know how the internet works or anything. He works on the railroad. Total badass. I never was in a fight my whole life, which you're talking about, rough and rowdy, because of him. He called me up and he said, listen, Mike's in Jersey. He's in the hospital. He was in like South Jersey. He's like an hour south of Frank.
Right.
And I don't know how Ryan phrased it, but he's on his deathbed. And Mike's brother had already overdosed and died about 10 years earlier. And his father had passed away. His mother wasn't there. So he was on his deathbed by himself. So Ryan was rushing there. And I was like on my way to Frank's apartment to go to this Devils game. And Frank lives in Belleville, New Jersey. So I walked into Frank's apartment. Sorry, it's long-winded. You can fast forward.
No, it's totally fine.
And I walked in, I looked at Frank and he saw my face. And I didn't look right. I wasn't crying, but I looked fucked up. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, I'm really sorry, but I can't go to the game today. And I'm wondering, can I borrow your car? Which is a crazy, like, right. I wouldn't ask Frank to, like, I'd hardly take a piss at his house. Right. You know what I mean? Just again, like I was still building up trust with him. And he just, not in a mean way or anything, he was like, why? And I explained. And he didn't say anything. He took out his phone, as he always does, on speaker, and he makes a phone call. It rings to voicemail, hangs up. Second call, someone answers, and he says, hey, do you want my Devils tickets today? I can't make it to the game. Guy goes, yeah, okay, hangs up. And he goes, all right, let's go to the hospital. And Frank came with me, so I didn't have to drive alone.
Oh, man, that's nice.
And he sat in the emergency room while me and Rye were up and Mike passed away, but we were there for it, thank God. And that was a big moment of like, where I realized, okay, like we're actually in this thing together. And we've had a lot of other moments like that too. Like my dad's battling dementia and Frank has known about it for years, like when nobody else knew anything. And he's actually been a great, great, great friend for me. Mm-hmm. And one of the blessings is he has no filter. So he's incredibly blunt. So he'll say the most brutally direct things, but it's what you need to hear when you're dealing with something like a degenerative disease. Because you don't want the cupcake flowery, it's going to get better.
If you want a candy coating,
Frank will just look me right in the eye and he'll just be like, that sucks and it's going to get fucking worse. And I'm like, thank you, Frank. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So for all the, shit people think of like, oh, he treats us so bad, this, that, or the other. At this point, we're like family. That dude knows everything about me. I know everything about him, and I'm very proud of him.
Talk to me now. Go all the way back. You know what? Before we get to the Barstool part, which I think is going to be interesting. So you grew up in Westchester, right? Why are you so ripped? Like, what did you do? So for people who I had asked him to do this episode with his shirt off, he said no. So Jenks is one of those guys. He's got the long hair. And he's ripped to shreds. What's
the long hair got to do with it?
No, I'm just saying that. I'm trying to set it up for people to listen to this audibly.
Tarzan.
Right. Yeah. So when I say the Tarzan thing, I think that's a pretty good analogy, right? Like people often call me a thumb with glasses, and I think that's a pretty good analogy. So that's what we're looking at here for people who aren't watching this on YouTube. What was it? Because this is a food podcast, right? First and foremost. And I don't mind drifting away from it, particularly when we're getting to know an interesting guy like you. And we'll get to talk about plenty of food before this fucking thing is over. But what was the thing that made you, were you a fat kid? Were you an out of shape kid? Like what had made you, it seems like you're a kind of guy that's going to be a sexy corpse someday. I don't know if it's always been that way or if there was something that was a trigger.
So I grew up in a British household. My father has a British accent, whole nine, which means there are not snacks in the house. It means
no crisps.
No.
Okay.
It's if you actually
potato chips, Ian. Just so you know, I'm very, very cultured.
If you ever watched the show Succession, one of the only times Logan Roy genuinely laughs, like heartily laughs, is when his kids are going to visit their mother to try to secure share votes, and he's like, "Oh, sparse pickings there to eat, huh?" Really, it's like when Frank laughs. Right. Very, very British. So no, never fat. I think a big part of it, Large, was the NBA. Growing up, and guys like David Robinson, although it might make me sound flamboyantly gay, whatever. Those guys were so jacked, and I was so obsessed with basketball.
Right.
I kind of had it in the back of my head that no matter what, when I was an adult, I would be jacked.
Okay.
I was just like, no matter what, like, because that's just that's a decision you can make. If as long as God gave you a body that works, like these are just decisions we make. So people, if you're not jacked, you're just choosing not to be.
But was there a I don't know, arena of athletics that you did with, or was it one of those things where it's just from the gym?
I think
were you all-state wrestler or something like that?
Well, my best friends were badasses, and Ryan, Chase, I won't say their last names.
Okay.
Even Robbie back in his prime, I won't say his last name either.
Robbie Fox.
They could and they would fight anyone. Mm-hmm. And they didn't look to fight people they could beat. They looked for challenges. They looked for the bullies. They looked for the big hotheads at bars. They looked for guys picking on other people in school. When they were freshmen, they'd go after the seniors, that kind of shit. And the one rule, as if it was like casino and I was Ace and my guy Rye, who I call Joe Pesci because he looks and literally is Joe Pesci, it was Jenks can't fight. And it wasn't that they knew I was incapable of it. Mm-hmm. It was like they took a great pride in it. They're like, Jenks can do whatever. He can fuck anybody's girl. He can do whatever he wants. And nobody will lay a hand on him. I didn't fuck anybody's girl, but you know what I mean? There was no rules. Uh-huh. So in my head, I always wanted to make sure that I wasn't a pussy because I never really got tested.
Okay.
So I started like very early on with lacrosse, basketball. I wanted to make sure I was in really good shape. Uh-huh. I wanted to make sure I was a physical player. And then, a lot of it does just go back to childhood. My parents worked really hard, so they didn't, necessarily come to every game. Basketball.
Are your parents or were your parents fat? I mean,
No.
Okay. Was it always like a
going
thin,
back to the
in-shape household?
Physicality thing.
Right. That's on a knife.
By the way, answer Frank Fleming during the.
You might as well put on speaker, unless it's going to be something personal.
Frank, I'm recording with Large on his show.
Oh shoot! I was about to. I'm just finishing up a raw dog with Justin Dolan.
That sounds intimate.
And guess what?
What?
That is recording. It's not recording.
Yeah, this is recording.
Oh shit! Fuck.
It's okay. You haven't said anything wrong.
Well, the guy that weeded out for us on Saturday.
Yeah.
Justin knows him. He's a good guy.
Okay. Anything else? Hey, Justin, how you doing?
What's up, buddy? Basically, Justin knows this guy.
No, not anything else on that. Anything else that we need to talk about right now?
No.
All right. I love you, buddy. Are you wearing Christmas lights around your head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jenks, we just filmed one of the best raw doggings that we've ever done in the history of raw dogging.
Can't wait to not see it. Love you, Justin. See you guys.
See you, Frank.
I think Frank actually thinks I watch his raw dogs.
By the way, that for people again who aren't watching this on video, that was shot on an iPhone 4. I mean, that's honest to God. I don't know how to describe this. It's the size of a mediocre rice cake, maybe, and it's.
I don't want a hockey puck in my.
How many calls a day do you get from Frank?
About 4.
Okay, so you get about 4 calls from Frank, and that I would have to think if you were judging it on a scale of 1 to crazy, that thing was on the lower side. There was really no. You must get some calls where it's just absolutely bananas.
What is happening here? And I've said it to Frank. Uh-huh. In real time, much like how they covered Barstool Beach House, is in real life Goodwill Hunting, but in New York and with inverse ages.
Okay.
Frank is a genius that's traumatized by his childhood and doesn't understand, or doesn't accept, I should say, and he knows it now. I've pounded into his, he knows it. Uh-huh. And the last step will be accepting it. That the demons and the rage and the anger and the frustrations that he feels are not his fault.
Right. So you're the younger Robin Williams.
Yes.
Okay. I like that analogy.
We sit all the time and it's just.
I got to be honest.
I don't know. I said sit. We walk all the time.
Yeah, there's some sitting involved.
In this winter weather, I'm sick all the time.
I don't blame. And so there haven't been any sick days either for him. That's one of the things I wanted to bring up with the 800.
Yeah, he had a 101 or 100 fever and a sinus infection. We walked, and then he tried to go to the Nutley Day parade because he had said he would be there, and the organizer said, "Please go home." So you look like you're going to die.
Right.
There's another day he cut his foot open, bleeding everywhere. Got that thing stitched up. walked on crutches the next day.
I think when you look down in the annals of Barstool history, and I know I have two stoolies in the room with me, with you and Ian. I didn't follow Barstool. I didn't know much about it before I had gotten here. I think that the Frank success story has to be up there with the biggest. I mean, obviously, Dave takes most of the headlines because he built something out of nothing. And when I first met Dave in 2008, he wasn't the impressive guy that you see kind of today. So that's the biggest one. But I think from a physical standpoint, from a professional standpoint, I don't know about a spiritual standpoint, but personal standpoint, I think Frank's probably the biggest success story to come out of Barstool Sports. And you're a big part of it. That's one of the reasons why I have you on here.
I appreciate that very much.
I don't want to do anything, and that's why I'm trying to dance a small line here. I don't think Frank is a loyal listener of You Got to Try This, and that's his fucking problem.
Yeah,
but I don't want to do anything to jeopardize his privacy either. But I think what you're talking to us about in regards to Frank is something that, if people were to dig, it is kind of out there, right? I don't think we're...
Well, no, I'm not even trying to insinuate anything like crazy explosive or anything. I'm just talking about having...
But you're not betraying his trust, I should say.
No. Just having a really tough upbringing with very little love and being bullied at school all the time, and then having no support when you're being bullied at school, and, feeling that way continuously.
I'm getting back to you.
Okay.
Because when you say that, and I've had talks with you about your parents multiple times. You and I have shared some stuff about our personal lives. I didn't know it was a British household.
Yes.
Was your mom on the weekends cooking up like a full English breakfast? I mean, if you had a lot of beans at breakfast, I should say, fry bread, blood pudding or black pudding, rashers, that type of stuff that I love, jellied eels, pies and mash, bangers and mash, fish and chips, any of that stuff. Is that how very, very good, like pots of tea in the morning as opposed to cups of coffee and that type of stuff? Did you grow up in one of those things, like a pinky out culture?
A glass of orange juice.
Glass of orange. So was your mom a cook?
No.
Okay. Your dad?
She worked. No.
So were you the type of guy that was cooking for yourself at a young age?
Yes.
Okay.
I learned how to cook spaghetti when I was 10.
Okay.
And I basically took over my cooking for, my mom cooked a lot because my brother and dad can't cook, but I learned how to do laundry. I became independent very early. I was the second son in a British household.
Okay.
Shout out to anybody else that knows what that is, because that's a very special Venn diagram.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. That's where the special type of strong when you come from that. But the thing I was saying before with the physicality too, in terms of what wanted me to get really in shape and strong, was I took it like the Michael Jordan gift. I took it personally when my dad would have to work on a weekend, even though, he's obviously working for his family, like feeding me.
Yeah.
But I would take it personally.
He wasn't avoiding
that
it.
That he wasn't at, he wasn't at the bar. He was like working, but I'd have like a CYO basketball game. And my parents were also much more, let's say, proper than like, some of my friends, where they were more badass families with, rough around the edges, more openly, I would say. British people kind of keep their darkness more concealed.
Yeah, lace curtain. But
I would go into these basketball games large, and I would try to call. I used to black out. I don't remember anything from high school basketball, and I was the captain, but I broke all the records for flagrant fouls, and I was actually a crazy person.
Right.
And the bigger and the stronger and the more intimidating you looked, the quicker I would get right up into your fucking face and try to cause a problem.
Right.
And I'd do it in ways, it gets me riled up just thinking about it.
But you are kind of a psychopath in that
And Lou
respect.
Panzanero, who's a legendary coach of Peekskill basketball.
What do you say? Why are you fucking nodding, Ian?
I played against him
because he knows ball
in high school.
So he respects him. Dominant powerhouse, Peekskill, where Elton Brand went to high school.
By the way, guys, so I went to LaSalle Academy on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Bill Aber was my coach. Shamgod went to my high school. Ronnie Artest went to my high school. Don't fucking start coming at me like you guys are Power Memorial.
All right,
you know what I'm saying?
We don't compare with that.
Stop.
I'm trying to show respect to Lou Panzanero.
Respect Lou.
Coach Lou.
Shout out Lou Panzanero.
I saw him about a year and a half ago. It was actually the first day I didn't see Frank. I broke like the 200-day streak because my best friend Megan was getting married, and she's one of, I think he's one of her godfathers. So he was at the wedding, and he was retired. He hasn't coached in a while, but he coached when I was playing. Mm-hmm. And when I was a senior, their best player's name was Mookie Jones. He was committed to Syracuse.
That's a great name, by the way. Mookie Jones is a good name.
And he came up to me at Megan's wedding, and this I could have run through a fucking wall because I know he wouldn't have said it unless he meant it. He was like, Jenks, in all the years, you're the craziest and the hardest one I've ever seen play on the court.
Really?
And he goes, and one thing I'll never forget was at halftime of the first, because we played him twice a year, of the first game you played against Mookie, he said, get that fucking guy the fuck away from me.
Oh, really?
I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I was very proud of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got a similar compliment a couple of weeks ago. I was in Katz's with the owner. And when I ordered my sandwich, he said, Large, I don't mean this as any kind of disrespect. I'm a 5th generation deli owner here in New York City. You order deli like a 90-year-old Jew. I said, oh, and I fucking loved it. I'm going to mention, I think, on every episode that we have from here on out.
I honestly don't even know what that means, but okay.
Yeah. So high school basketball captain, lacrosse
Captain.
all that. Lacrosse captain also. All right. So then that's it.
Well, I went
then.
from guarding black guys in sneakers to guarding white guys in cleats.
Right.
And they
Okay,
gave
there
me
it
a
is.
6-foot pole and said you can hit them with it.
So
I
long
would shut
stick midi.
down guys that were going to Johns Hopkins, like all these top players,
Right.
donuts against me.
So-
And I couldn't throw and catch. It was the funniest shit ever.
Oh, really?
I was
That's it?
all section with no stick skills. Just an incredibly good defender. Because I was guarding point guards from.
Right.
Sorry, you
right,
don't
right.
respect Peekskill, but from Peekskill, Poughkeepsie, Mount
I'm
Vernon,
going to
all
get
over
so
the
much
place.
hate mail from Peekskill.
Oh, you're fucked.
You know, don't send a lot of hate
I
mail
wouldn't
from
worry about
Lower
the
East
mail
Side.
from Peekskill. I'd worry about some other shit becoming worse.
Really? I'm ready for it. So then,
Large is good, Peekskill.
when you were in school, what were your vices then? I mean, so has it always?
Drinking in high school?
Give me a rundown of what you eat in a day. Let's get back to the food thing, right? Give me a rundown. Give me your stats. How tall and how much you weigh?
5'10" and a half. Right now I'm about 154.
154, 5'10" and a half. What do you eat in a day, Jenks, when you get up? And so for people who don't know, Jenks and Frank, their domain is the Gambling Cave. We don't do a ton of live streams here because they do a lot of the live streams out of Chicago. So you guys don't get pushed out of there that often, but it's also in the kitchenette. And you've made it a point with me that every now and again, which I've asked you to do, when I go in there and I start to grab one of these bullshit snacks that are in there, and they're not good. Like, they're not stuff that I haven't seen before that I really have a hankering for. It's just almost like bored eating. You'll even tell me, Large, there's also some fresh fruit there, like, you know, the whole deal. So you do kind of sit, but and it's gotten to the point too, where we go to the same deli. I think as a snack, you do these, I don't
Carrot
think it,
bread.
I know it. You do the carrot bread. You've brought it in for me, I think maybe half a dozen times. I've had like 3 or 4 of them with you. So you brought them in.
An extra one for somebody.
Yeah. So what run me through what a guy who's in great shape, who's your height and your weight, what do you do every day?
So I think what I eat isn't as important, but I'll give you what I eat because this is not me saying what people should eat.
Yeah.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Okay.
I have a very feeble stomach. So those are inherent advantages.
It really is.
Yeah. So I that's one thing I just have to say from the jump. With that said, I'm incredibly disciplined with what I put in my body. And it starts with I wake up. I normally am in the gym for an hour to 2 hours, 7 days a week, just how I have to start my day. And then I don't really eat until at least 11 a.m., but I wake up at 5 and I'm done with the gym by 7:38.
Okay.
So that's just how I am. Again, this isn't me.
Understood. No, I'm asking.
I normally
and then when you
have-
do break your fast, then, which isn't a purpose, you know, you're not intermittent fasting or anything, but
No.
when you do finally get that meal in you at 11 o'clock, is it just a half pound of bacon?
No, it's normally like today I had 1 large lentil soup, 1 large chicken noodle soup, or I'll have grilled chicken cut up with rice. Something very simple.
Okay.
And what I do, the biggest thing that I learned somewhere in my 20s to probably early 30s was the difference between eating until I was full and eating everything in front of me. And I don't mean that in like a grotesque way. Like literally, if you have a big plate in front of you, you don't have to actually finish it all, especially all at once.
Mhm.
You can milk it a little bit throughout the night. You can take your time. But when you're full, if you actually stop eating, you're good. And you actually feel better and you have more energy. The other thing is, if you can't tell, Large, I'm a very like, I I don't know what the word is, crazy person.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to do shit.
I can tell.
Constantly.
Okay.
Like I'm never idle. I need to always be doing stuff. People like don't. On Saturday night, I was making calls across the country and I got a $10,000 commitment for a whole thing I'm trying to do for 2026. You have to always be moving for me. Otherwise I get dark.
Okay.
So to do that, what do you need? Energy. And your energy is going to come from what you actually put in your body. It's your fuel. So now that I've not done it for so long, it like drives me nuts because I hate seeing people do it to themselves. But what's really sad in this country, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little bit crazy here, but we let monopolies take over the country.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best examples of how monopolies have taken over the country is the food industry. And you can go all the way back to that bullshit food pyramid they made for us that was manipulated, to the way you walk down the street and all you see are all of these chains with absolutely no customer service, with completely processed food, with food coloring, all just bullshit, 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 bullshit. And then when you go into a grocery store, the cheapest stuff, the most affordable, with the best coloring and the best graphics and the best marketing is completely hollow food, nutrient empty food that you eat that actually makes your blood sugar spike, but doesn't give you other nutrients that your body needs. So you don't ever feel full. You don't ever feel like you had enough. That's why even when you finish like a bag of chips, you still want to eat more. It's because you didn't fill yourself up at all. So even if you are hungry, you're not going to fill yourself up. And then the worst is when you just start doing it for sport. You start doing it out of muscle memory, which Frank used to do all the time. Now he walks.
I do it now.
And when you get out of that habit and then you actually start becoming vigilant on yourself and make it a game, you're like, how soft am I? Do I have to have the pleasure of a bite of this one thing I like when I know, like I literally know this doesn't help me? That like to me made it a lot easier. So eating till I was
Do you feel bad about yourself, Ian, now that you listen to him? And Ian does have a similar take to you. Ian doesn't, like I go home and I don't think that I'm on the bad side because I'm not a huge fast food guy. I'm just not. But I do try and eat all these different types of things. You've seen like we do the restaurant reviews on Twitter. We follow each other. So you've seen some of the stuff that we do.
Large acts like I don't know anything he does here. Yes.
But does I don't assume.
Viva la food?
Yeah, but is it one of those things then, does that disgust you? Does that disgust you when I'm sitting in the front seat of my car outside of Cosme's in South Philly with the big Dom and it's a chicken cutlet with
Let's slow it down. Let's slow it down. I said this before. I'm never judgmental.
No, but I'm saying,
curious.
Does it personally disgust you?
None of it disgusts me. I was with Frank when he used to take his diabetes pills with cake because he can't swallow with water. He'd eat diabetes medication with fucking cake.
Yeah.
With cake.
That's a clip, by the way.
I mean, so you think I'm sitting around in judgment of people? No, absolutely not. It's again,
But if I took you then, if I was like, Jenks, you and I are driving to the next Rough and Rowdy, the next whatever that we're going to do together, I'm going to stop off here. One of the things is I'm not going to stop off at Arby's or McDonald's or any of that stuff. And I stop off. Will you indulge with me and have a gigantic chicken vodka parm with an Italian long hot on it and a little bit of basil pesto on a hero?
See, that's where you're not talking about junk food. Then.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm taking a high road because I don't do.
No, that's a big hearty meal where sure I personally don't like cheese, but you like cheese, so you have the chicken parm. The cheese is probably going to be the most fattening thing on that. That's a perfectly legitimate meal.
Right.
What's going to be more important when you get that big chicken parm, which are normally here in America. By the way, they don't even make that in Italy. That's bullshit. I lived in Italy for 4 years, where they have real food and where I used to actually eat correctly. Another reason I have a really easy time not eating shit here. I lived in Italy for 4 years.
Right. So you saw real food without all the stuff that's pumped in.
Where you could actually gorge yourself and not get fat. But when you get that chicken parm, not having to polish the whole plate off, and you know that feeling when you're walking back to the car and you're like, I'm so full, I can't even comprehend what the shit's going to look like.
I keep calling you a psychopath, or I've called you crazy or a psychopath a couple of times. You know what I've started doing about 2 years ago, and you can ask my family, I serve dinner on small plates now. because there's only unless I build scaffolding around the plate, I can't do too much damage, and I try not to have seconds. And that's something
They
where
use smaller plates in Europe.
I grew up in a household where we were very competitive for the food. Like me and my 3 brothers, my mom would make roast chickens. She would make 4 roast chickens for 5 people. And, we'd be at it, and it was, it was awesome, right? But I had to go from a guy who had to finish everything on my plate to a guy like, I can't not finish everything on my plate, so let's get fucking smaller plates. That's what I've gone to. I've gone to more of a tapas style household than I was ever in the past, and I think it's helped me tremendously.
Well, you've lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah,
you look great.
Thanks.
And this is another
Dying
example
for a compliment.
Just like with Frank, that's the only one you're getting. It's simplicity.
Yeah.
And discipline is really, hard. Discipline in anything is what separates greatness from mediocrity.
Right.
Even really, really good from greatness. The only way you can actually even touch your potential is with discipline. But you have to figure out a way to make it simple for yourself.
Right.
So the easiest example is when like New Year's comes up and people are like, I want to go to the gym, and they have a fucking notebook when they haven't been in the gym, in 2 years, with this huge plan, just an unbelievable to the motherfucking second plan.
Right.
And all they need to do is get their cardiovascular going. They need to get their heart rate up. They need to break a little bit of a sweat. There's about 50 million ways they could do it. Really doesn't matter which way they do it. So when you go into the gym, it doesn't, whatever machines are taken up, you don't need to get stressed. You can just go over to another one. But instead, for a lot of people, and this is just one example, they'll go into the gym and then their plan's all fucked up. So they're like, I'll start tomorrow. And then it all gets blown up.
Right.
That's what always happens. Mm-hmm. So if you want to start exercising and you're in really, really bad condition right now, don't think about even step count. Just go for a walk. Go to your mailbox. Walk until you start to feel a little bit unsure, and then walk home. And that, guess what? First day's done. That's the hardest one. Now, day 2 is when you're going to officially change your life, because now it's a lifestyle. And then you go from there. Now, with food, for a lot of people, they do really sophisticated diets. And this is also a problem with living in America, where monopolies control the food, and then everyone's trying to sell health and fitness, when the truth is it's all simplicity. Like look at the Japanese culture. Do you think they're doing incredibly complex Equinox, suit, whatever? I don't even know what the right terminology is. This shit gets me so angry. But these diets that say you can't eat any carbs, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. No, like everything in life, it's just about balance and moderation. And then avoid the stuff that's actually a net zero. So Large, he's a dumbass. So what did he do? He took a big plate and he made it smaller, and now he eats less.
Or what my problem is too is that
sometimes and I really mean that the simplicity is what makes it work.
You'll talk about having however many calories people do, like calorie count and stuff like that. I can also tell you one of the things that changed my life is I stopped having my biggest meal of the day right before bed at 11:30 at night.
What's the worst thing you could basically do?
We were interviewing sumo wrestlers for Twisted History. Did Twisted History of Sumo. We had 2 guys in here, and they did a little sumo thing. I went to a sumo wrestling event in New Jersey. It was pretty cool. But I was talking about him, and I was like, how do you guys maintain that size? You must just eat all fucking day. They're like, nope, we do one giant meal a day.
At night.
And we do it right before we go to bed.
We all eat together.
I was like, oh shit, I do that too.
I think I watched that.
Yeah. I was like, I do it too, because like
See,
Annie and I think sometimes it's with kids too. Like you set yourself up where the kids all have to be a different practice and a different, so you get them all kind of set up with their 3 different schedules. And then when you finally decide to decompress, sit down, watch a movie or do something, that's when I'm like, let me put a ribeye on the counter, get it to room temperature, throw it on the grill, and we'll have it with a bottle of Barolo at fucking 11:30.
It's another really, you kind of hit, I think unintentionally, a really good point there, that one of the things, especially in our culture of like work, that people make a mistake of is allowing all of the challenging things in all of our lives, because everybody's life's different. So whether you have crazy work hours, kids, whatever it is, sick parents, what you put in your body is going to directly affect your performance. So if people are relying on you, if there's things you want to accomplish in life, if there's things that you want to get better at, if you treat your body better, you are literally giving yourself the best possible chance at doing all of those things. And a lot of times I think people make the mistake, Large, of waiting till the last second or till they're like really hungry or till it's unbearable to eat. And then they totally pig out.
Yes.
Rather than, even if it's a really busy day, it doesn't take that long to eat. And you can find something reasonably clean pretty quickly, but you have to make it a priority and you have to think in advance. It's something I've actually really hammered into Frank over the years, because we used to go into other states. You know, we live in New York City, you can get food anytime, any hour, and we'd be super busy. We do a bunch of stuff. And a lot of times maybe we're in Chicago, we live stream a game at night, or we're somewhere else and we go to a game at night and it's 9:30, 10 o'clock when we get out. The only thing you can order at that point is fast food. So Frank would have this great clean excuse of, well, I have to get Wendy's. There's nothing else available. So it started becoming a thing even on our very last trip when we landed and we were in Tampa. I said, I actually literally looked at him. I was like, hey, fuckface, game tonight is at 7. The restaurants are going to close at 9. What are we doing for dinner? And we worked it out then.
Good.
And we had a walk with Derek Brooks. We had group walk 800. We had a crazy busy day, but I make that a priority, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It's not planning. It's not like meal prep. And that's what people need to do. It's very simple.
So then what? You're not perfect. I'm hoping that's not a newsflash to you.
Not even close.
What's the vice?
36 and single.
What's the vice there? What's the vice that you can't give up that you think is hurting your body? Because I think, you know, the majority of people who listen to this podcast are guys who enjoy good food, guys and gals who enjoy good food. And sometimes when I'm eating it, I'm like, you know, this is probably something that's slowly killing me, but I just can't give it up.
What does good food mean? Can you define good food? Because I think what I think is good food, the guys you're talking about would think is good food, like a perfectly cooked filet mignon from a good restaurant.
It's my least favorite cut of steak.
All right.
Filet mignon is for prostitutes and little girls.
A nice strip, a nice New York strip.
Yeah. So I would say that whatever in your mind is good food, I think is similar to what it would be in my mind. Like an expertly cooked piece of meat that's perfectly seasoned and a couple of sides. And good food is different. Like we're in a slop culture now. Like where people are eating everything out of bowls. That may or may not agree with you, because we've taken that slop culture and we've made it unhealthy, because the last thing we put on our bowls are mayonnaise-based dressings and cheese, right?
Well,
so that type of stuff.
And everything in the bowl is processed.
Yeah. So yeah, for the most part, you're absolutely right. And I just don't like eating chopped up. I don't like eating food that looks like it was already chewed. It's one of the things that I'm not a huge fan of. But I know that some of the stuff that I'm doing, I'm having an excess. Right. And I know that it's hurting my body. What is your vice that you know is hurting your body? Like, what's the thing that you can't knock that you would probably be healthier if you were able to give it up?
Food wise?
Well, I had to take a fucking question out. I'm doing these questions at the end of the thing. And one of the questions that I'm introducing.
You're complaining to your guest about your own fucking format.
No. I'm saying, what would you
new to content?
What would you rather give up? Chocolate or cheese? Chocolate or cheese? I don't eat either.
I hate them both.
That's what I'm saying.
Imagine going to a birthday party
like if
when you're a kid and nobody knows who your parents are, and you say no thank you to the cheese pizza, you say no thank you to the chocolate cake, and everybody looks at you like you're a fucking weirdo and you just got to play it cool.
So if you want to know,
people wonder, you know, how'd Jenks get crazy?
So if you want to know what I think is good food, is that a really great hunk of dark chocolate with a little sea salt on it, an ice cold glass of water, or an aged cheese, or give me a big hunk of fucking Parmigiano Reggiano and a paint spackle with a bottle of red wine and crusty bread. That's great food to me.
Yeah, hold
and that
cheese
doesn't
and I'm in crusty bread and good.
But that doesn't necessarily appeal to you. And I'm saying, like, I'm eating cheese to the point where I'm like, maybe I should stop eating cheese and wine. So what's your vice? Because you can't go through life not having some sort of guilty vice.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So if
you don't have to fucking insult me, I'm very good at this job, right, Ian? Go ahead.
I mean, you can't complain to your guest about your own format. I love bread. So here's like
bread's so fucking good.
I have a couple of huge advantages, but the biggest one is, I can thank myself for. I literally go to the gym every day and I'm in there for like an hour, 2 hours, and I live stream it and I go bananas. So I don't eat enough as is. Like I could just eat more.
closer.
So I don't really have a it's not a vice necessarily, but I would say I can eat bread. Not like Roan the other day saw me put down 2 baguettes. We're just talking straight baguette right down the pipe.
I love a baguette, like a crusty baguette. I don't even eat butter, especially if it's warm.
A crippling addiction to peanut butter Cliff Bars, and I'd eat them as I was falling asleep, and then I started sleep eating them, and I'd wake up and I'd have ferocious stomach problems. Won't go into details.
Okay.
I replaced them about 2 months ago with little mini baguette. So I eat a baguette right before I fall asleep every night.
Really?
It's definitely not going to help me find a girlfriend, but it's helped my stomach a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're a unicorn in that regard because you've already burnt off the calories of that
if
baguette.
you eat baguettes while you go to bed,
everybody else have
fat.
a warm glass of milk.
Very fat.
Yeah,
it's a terrible.
Have a warm glass of milk. He can afford to have a baguette. Where's your booze game at now? Is it something where you drink a lot or you don't?
I've completely retired, to be honest with you.
You don't drink it. You don't drink at all.
Yeah, like we were at this beautiful Tunnels to Towers gala last Friday, and it was so nice, and they're, we were very, very relaxing moment, which is rare.
They're great people.
Great people. And it's an occasion, and there's, they have bottles of wine for the table. So it's not like you have to order it or anything. It's sitting there. So I just poured a glass, and I actually turned to Frank because, again, we're like brothers. People don't understand that we're actually like family. And he knows like the last time I drank probably better than I do. And he knows I can't really drink anymore just because I've turned into like Rob Lowe in Parks and Rec. Like my body's a microchip. Like this will literally kill me. So I poured a glass, I took a sip, and I felt the alcohol. And I just I immediately could feel all the math. It was like Alan and The Hangover, like all the math in my head of, if I have like 5 to 7 sips, I'll get a little bit of a buzz that will feel good for about 30 minutes. And then by the time that starts to wear off, I'll have to make a decision of whether I actually want to get tipsy or if I'm going to pull all the way back. And then I'll have to drink water to make up for the deficit. Might be a little bit hungover tomorrow. I want to make sure I get a good work. So after
That's a lot of thought for 5 sips of wine.
But it was the feeling.
Yeah.
I hadn't felt alcohol in my body for so long.
Right.
So it triggered my brain right away. And then I turned to Frank, and I'm not like standing by this. I wasn't an alcoholic or anything. But I turned to Frank and I was like, I think I'm just done drinking. And he just looked at me. He's like, yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. Does he drink?
Thank God, no.
Yeah, I've never seen Frank indulge in just about anything.
No. Yeah, well, I am, Dr. Jenks, Goodwill Hunting.
Well, I got to be honest.
I do prescribe him something when things get particularly.
But you have a vape in your hand. For people who are on here, it's not like it's anything that you're hiding.
This is bad.
That's your vice then.
Yeah, but that's not food.
Right. So is that then one of the only vices that you have? Like what that's doing to your body too, but you just go through with it.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like you're this pristine guy who doesn't put anything bad in your body. Is my point.
No.
A little recreational stuff over here. That's alcohol.
My vice is smoking.
Okay.
My vice is smoking.
And it always has been. You've been smoking since.
I mean, hopefully my parents don't see this, but yeah, maybe 15 years old.
Okay. I just think that humanizes you.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like everybody having something.
It humanizes you until the point where all of a sudden you become a crazy person. Because I'll tell you, at 5 a.m., when it's 20 degrees, I'm outside with a spliff the size of my forearm.
So we're going beyond the nicotine vape that you have in here.
Potentially, if you know what a spliff is.
Yes.
Before I go in and do my 1 to 2 hour workout.
Really? You can smoke weed before you work out?
It's not that I can. It's that I do and I have for about 20 years.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
And if you don't, is the workout?
Less enjoyable.
Okay.
Less enjoyable.
Oh, gets you in the right head.
Well, I think one of the, first of all, again, going back to the monopolies, it was big tobacco and big alcohol that got marijuana to be, classified as like essentially a narcotic or whatever.
Right.
I can't remember the proper terminology, but they demonized it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're advertising booze and letting people completely destroy their lives with it. So there's a great hypocrisy in that. And that was just, again, monopolies doing their work. I completely forgot.
This is a weed-friendly show. I just want people to know. And I can understand maybe your point, too, is that we can advertise a Baconator, which is going to take 6 months off your life.
My point was that when people smoke, for the most part, And even people that have stigmas against it, I think would probably agree. They smoke to heighten senses and dull pain and stress. So what do most people probably do? Listen to music, eat things like potato chips that have like a crisp crunch and a really salty taste.
Yeah.
Because it's extreme. Everything feels really good. But if you learn this trick and you smoke and you feel the THC and you feel the heightened awareness, like Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about in the famous documentary Pumping Iron, the pump is like coming. It's like I come all day.
That's
And that's the feeling of when you actually break your first sweat, or when you're doing curls and you start to feel your muscles really contract and get tight. If you smoke weed, if you have THC in your system and you break that first sweat, you get through a 10, 15 minute stretch, and God forbid you run at least quarter, half a mile.
Yeah.
At that point, when I'm listening to music, I call it flow state. I hit flow state, and then for the next hour, I'm just running around, working out.
He's got motion.
And anybody that's ever seen me do my live streams, they're not planned. Like it's complete chaos. I'm just running around like a fucking monkey, and the only rule is no breaks.
Okay.
So if I exhaust one thing, then I go do like a completely different exercise until the other part recovers.
Can we do Barstool Fitness? Not can we. When are you going to do something that's more blown out Barstool Fitness? Because we casually mentioned beforehand the girls from In the Slot, Mubi and Kelly, were going to come around. It's In the Slot, correct? They still do that. And they also do Fishbowl. So they have a couple of things. They were going to come around and do something where take everyone's New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
So let's say your New Year's resolution was to say, I want to grow my hair out. Then they're going to come to you on December 20th of the next year and be like, Large, how'd that go? And I'd still be bald and I failed it.
It's going to be very sad end to the video.
Yeah, I think, but I think if they get 100 people to do it, there's going to be 99 failures on New Year's resolutions. You're not a New Year's resolution guy, correct?
No.
It's one of those things where you think that's almost is that a Hallmark thing type? It's almost like a destined to fail, putting off doing something good for yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm going to sound very cynical, but I think the heart of this is actually quite beautiful. I think the holidays are bullshit.
Okay.
I think the holidays are a crutch for people that don't actively love the people in their life that deserve love to put on a big show.
Really?
Indeed.
But now, even keeping in mind kids, like if you have a small family with kids, I think there's a certain degree where the holidays, we do it for them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Get the fat guy in the red jacket and the presents all around the tree and a bright, lights and all that kind of stuff. Isn't there some sort of premium to that?
I think the tradition stuff when you're a kid and doing things that make them happy, of course, that's wonderful.
So you're not a Grinch altogether.
No, my point is actually much different. It's that like my best friend since preschool, Ryan, who I talked about before, he calls me at least once a week, no matter what. And he has 3 daughters. He's got a really sick mother-in-law. He's got so much on his plate. No matter what, he calls me just to check on me. He doesn't need to wait for a holiday or a birthday or any of that stuff.
Right.
And I guess I just see people step up during the holidays, and it makes me wonder why they don't do it all the time.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about presents. I'm not talking about people getting together. All that stuff's perfectly nice and fine. But the idea like, oh, it's sad that happened during the holidays. It's like, well, what are you talking about? It's always sad if something bad happens.
Yeah. So you're more of a carpe diem type guy. Like we're trying to do something. I mean, I've gotten into the habit of every time I'm stuck in traffic, there's nothing good that happens when you're stuck in traffic. Very rarely do I have positive thoughts or anything like that. So I've made it a habit to do one of those roulettes with my phone, and wherever I land, I make a phone call and I say, hey, it's Large. I haven't spoke to you in a while. What's going on? Yeah. And as a result, I've reconnected with like people. They're like, holy shit, I haven't spoke to you in ages. What's going on? And you get answer machines a lot and you just move on to the next one because we all have these Rolodexes of people that we just don't talk to anymore. And
the way to start, the best advice I could ever give anybody from my life is it started during COVID and going back to the British household. And you can imagine a kind of always a very loving but kind of distant type of relationship in some ways. I started calling them every single day. And I've called my parents every day for now 5 years. And my father in those 5 years got dementia. And he was a brilliant man. And it's tough.
Yeah.
And it gives me great peace that I called every single day for the years that I did. And if you have that ability, if your parents are alive or you have a relationship with them, do that, because it's weird. If you call your parents once a week, once a month, every other week, it's like a press conference that you kind of resent, and you answer questions snippy, almost like a diva athlete. And it's like they're annoying you. But the reality is they're your biggest fans. Right. They fund you. They got your back. Yeah. They're the only ones that actually give a shit. Mm. And you're being snooty to them because you want to know why? Because you know that no matter what, they'll still forgive you no matter what, because they love you so much.
They're the easiest ones to take advantage
now,
of.
Instead of running those press conferences that are brutal, that I think a lot of people could probably empathize with, and they're not mean, it's not mean-spirited. It's just like how it happens. Mm-hmm. If you call every single day, there's not that much to update. Right. So I'm not saying I call every day and talk to my mom and dad for an hour and a half. I call, it's like 5 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes, but much closer to 5 on an average day. And it's like the greatest joy of their life. Like right now, they're older and they get to hear from their son every day. It takes 5 minutes.
Right.
And then it makes you feel good.
No, your point is definitely taken and salient. And I'm hoping that my kids show me that, at some point. I can see myself cherishing having that phone ring once a day, even for 5 minutes at a time, particularly once they all start to move away, which, you kind of dread as a parent. Let's get back into the kitchen. If I'm going over to your house tomorrow and you're going to make me dinner, is there anything you do well in the kitchen that you think you do better than other people? What would you cook me, knowing what you know about me? And again, we've been behind each other's curtains.
Can I take you to Italy? Because that's where I used to live. So can I take you into my Italian apartment where I used to cook?
I would be honored to jump on a flight, go to Italy, go find the apartment that you used to live in. The people who are there, the people who live there now, I will throw them out. And if they resist, I will kill them.
I have access to the building. You don't need to start killing people.
So I don't have to have an international murder rap?
Christ.
What would you cook me?
I would make you what I made almost every day for 2 years. 4 years. My chicken vegetable soup.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't expect that.
I would get local olive oil, because when I lived in Italy, I like literally no money. It was like living on a couple $100 a week. Mm-hmm. But I would get almost everything for 10 euros across the city because I worked for a school, so I could bring them business, and they all ended up loving me because I was the only American that learned Italian. But with that said, I still need to eat like lunch, breakfast, like I needed other meals. So I couldn't just fully, and I actually really had no money. So I would buy really cheap groceries. In Florence, Italy, I would get my vegetables and my seasoning and my meats all from different places. Each little local store had a ton of pride, and it would all be from literally the Tuscan hillside. So your oregano, your basil, all of the seasonings I'm buying in leaf form, and I'm breaking it up like nuggets, like little beautiful nuggets, and sprinkling it in. Just use a little bit of tap water, and I'd use a little bit of the local olive oil, a white onion, a red onion, 2 bell peppers, change up the colors, but let's say a red and a yellow. I'd get a zucchini. I'd get a little bit of broccoli, normally some fagioli that I'd buy separately, and then I'd put in, it was already pre-cooked, and I'd get a rotisserie chicken, just like so fresh and delicious. And I'd strip it, all the bones out, and throw it in with some of the skin and let that simmer. Never let it get up to a boil for a couple of hours. And all of the juice from the chickens and from all the different vegetables I'd put in. Sometimes I'd throw in other stuff too that I'm not even thinking of.
With soup, you can throw in it. It's different every time.
Great
Your soup's not different every time. You know what I mean? And especially at this time of year. Oh, yeah. Can we with a low? Then you'd run upstairs, lift up your pillow, take out one of your many emergency baguettes.
Yes.
Come back downstairs. We'd have just crusty bread and chicken vegetable soup.
The other one in the winter
and a super Tuscan
for the drinkers out there, especially you've brought up red wine multiple times. I can't remember how you say it in English. Vin brûlé, the hot red wine.
Oh, yeah. It's almost like mulled wine, but that's the one that they do add the spices to.
Yeah, it depends on who you go to, but you could literally just take red wine, throw it in a pan. You could put it, throw in a whatever kind of spices you want.
Yeah.
Let it get up to a bit of almost a boil, and then let it cool down just a little. Pour it into a thermos and go out for a walk in like Central Park. You can thank me later.
See, so that's the type of simple cooking. And I mean, when I say simple, you didn't reach for the bag of MSG. I'm saying that in deference to Frank, who's an MSG freak, and stuff like that. And I think that there's a huge benefit to eating something that you know exactly what went into it. And that's what I'm trying to do now. And it's impossible to eat. Every time I go to a restaurant, I throw that out the window with the exception of very few restaurants. And the finer restaurants are the ones that still abide by it.
My God.
I don't know what I'm putting in my body half the time anymore. Yeah. So like to have a meal where I'm like, I remember what I put in exactly. Like last night I cooked for the kids and like I was like, if you guys want to know what's in it, ask me because I know exactly what's in it. There is no back of the label. What the fuck is polysorbate gummy? And I'm not a healthy guy. I'm just saying that I feel better serving it. I feel like it's a delicious experience eating it, and I feel better after I'm done eating it. Right?
I think that's fucking great. It's natural.
Yeah.
As a human, that's how you should feel. Like as a mammal, like you want to know what you're putting in your body. We don't want to just live in a simulation. One of my favorite memories in terms of the Italian American experience was the first time Antonio Vanni, my old colleague, he was the head of our jazz department, incredibly artistic Italian guy, big heart, big personality, wonderful guy. We were working with Elon University, which is where I went to school. And he flew into North Carolina for the first time. And we're driving.
Elon's in Georgia or North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Is it North Carolina? Okay.
So we fly into RDU. We're driving down I-40 and we stop at, I'm not sure, but one of the fast food ones. One of my friends out there picked me up. And the way he tells the story, it's like we pull up to a window and just a voice. A voice. I don't even see it.
Out of a box.
What do you want? He's yelling at me, and I tell him what I want, and we go down, and then a hand reaches out the window, and I don't even see who it is. I don't know who made the food. I don't see the food. Right. Because I look out in the street, and there's cockroaches dancing. He was so mortified by the American drive-through and then we parked in the parking lot to eat, and he was almost on the verge of tears. This is not how we eat food as humans. He's like yelling at my friend from North Carolina. What are we doing? Is there a picnic table? Like he was dead serious. Sure. He couldn't fathom that we were just throwing the shit in our face and and it smelled all greasy and horrible. Oh God, Antonio, I miss him. He's a funny guy.
I could tell you I had a similar experience. We were down in like Ocean City, Maryland with the kids. And while we were down there, we had everything that you would have down, at the Fractured Prune in the morning, getting like the donuts and shit. And we're, doing the crab cakes and all. On the drive back up, so from Maryland back up to northern New Jersey, I wanted to stop somewhere to eat where I kind of knew what I was eating. There's nothing. There's no options. And I turned to Annie. I was like, why don't we open up a place? Like, that's my whole deal. I'd like to get to a point in my life where I don't need the money and I could just have like a little place that has a couple of like aged cheeses, dried sausages, pickled vegetables, crusty bread. That's it. Maybe Annie's in the corner playing the mandolin while I have the fucking piano wire cutting the cheeses for everybody and someone else is scooping out some jardinera for you. And you can just sit down, have a nice glass of wine, some crusty bread, whatever salumi you decide to pick for it. That's fucking eating at a table with, something going on in the background. And we've just given up on it. I think we've given up on it. I can't tell you how many fucking families don't eat dinner together up by me. There are people who like come over to my house, and I'll be like, oh, come by the house. And like other people will stop by and we'll have dinner together. They're like, nobody does this anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? We do this, and they're right. Nobody does it anymore. And it's fucking, it's disturbing at times.
It's also worth saying too that one of the reasons you can't really judge people for eating a lot of the shit is that they've made the shit the only thing available. Yeah. So to eat like really good fresh food you do need to have money. You need to have access to places that sell that stuff. And it's a lot easier said than done. And that's something where I get very angry at how things are set up, because that it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
We're not an impoverished country where we need to just eat shit that fattens us up like, little piglets. But that's what they've done. That's what they're doing to us. That's what they're actively trying to do to us. And guess what? One of the biggest things, again, with my father having dementia and the effect that's had on me, you learn about stuff you didn't know, but whether or not you exercise and what you put in your body are two of the biggest things that affect what ends up happening to your brain. And the brain is one of the most complex things, but it makes sense to me. I know it might sound corny, but the whole mind, body, spirit thing, I think there's something to it. I think the one thing that they messed up is the cadence sounds better, but to me, it's really body, mind, spirit, because the body, again, if you're not disabled or in a bad situation, is the one thing you have control over.
Right.
So even if your mind feels shitty and your body feels shitty and your spirit feels shitty when you wake up, you can go after the body no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you versus you. And everybody's got an excuse. Everybody's got an excuse. Everybody's
If
got
you don't
an
have
excuse.
excuses, call me because I have a bunch.
So you beat the body first. That sounded weird. And it feels
I
good.
just did it before we came up.
And it feels good. That's going to get your mind feeling good. And I don't think you can ever find the height of your spirit at its best unless your mind and body are also
I could see you screwing around with that. And that's why I think that the idea of doing some sort of Barstool Fitness, you doing it again, I'm not saying we, in case I keep using the wrong term.
No, brother, I want you involved. So I can tell you.
But I could tell you that I'd be slightly terrified to be involved. But I also think that you have a certain degree you have a natural motivating tone about you that it could benefit a lot of people in this office, myself included. And I would love to be involved. We've spoke about something that I've never been able to do that I've always wanted to do. So maybe I would do it with him. And after 6 months, I'd be able to do it. Like something like that. I think everybody here has targets that they haven't been able to meet that you can kind of help them along their way. Is there some sort of future where you're doing something like that? Because workout fitness TikTok or fitness twit or whatever seems to be something pretty big, and you almost seem custom made for it.
So I appreciate all of that. I think
that's my last compliment.
The humble reality is I've been trying to put out a lot of content. I've gotten good support, and I've gotten so many great personal messages from people that really are into it, but the numbers aren't at a level at which I can confidently go to the bosses and say, we need to put the Barstool brand on it. And I think a lot of young people nowadays are completely delusional in thinking that if they have a good idea, they're entitled to getting the resources to try it out when there's no proof of ROI. I actually worked real jobs for 15 years, so I know how to not get my head cut off. So my goal is to build up a following to the point where the market is clearly there and we actually want it to be an entity. So that's what I'm working on every day.
It's a work in progress for proof of concept.
The big one for 2026 is I got one guy, can't say his name. He's got a huge following on YouTube. He's in the Chicago office that wants to start doing weekly yoga with me in January. And I think that could be the first major breakthrough for me, because if that catches traction and then we get a couple other people, God forbid one of the pretty girls in Barstool want to actually do some like yoga or something, we could have a hit. No, I'm not kidding. We could have a hit.
I agree. The last sports injury I had was at a yoga class.
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, it is very much so.
Was it at least like intermediate? Or
no, I was done. I was taking a yoga class.
But what level?
Whatever level is below beginner. So I go in there and I'm having a very good experience. Very good experience. And I've done like that hot one years ago when I was in shape.
Vinyasa, I think.
Bikram or something like that?
Bikram.
Yeah. And so this one was a regular one, and it was like relaxing at the end, and I felt like limber and I felt good. And the young lady who runs the place, I had said, if you don't mind, I'm going to put this on my page. She had known who I worked for and who I was. She was like, that's great. That's awesome. And just me in like this pose. And I'd be like, by the way, I'm really enjoying myself at this place. My wife says, well, no, do that thing that I'd seen her do with something else, where I get into that one fucking archer or something where you're out like that and the one leg stretched out and this knee is bent, right? So I'm sort of stretched out.
Lower back.
She steps on my fucking thigh and then she goes out this way, like acrobatic. So I'm this way.
After one class?
After one class. My wife pushing the issue. Just do it. It's going to be a better thing.
Don't blame your
All
wife.
of a sudden,
Don't blame your wife.
this leg starts to slide. I do a fucking full split and I feel a pop. It's nobody's fault except for the fact that I'm out of shape and my wife won't take fucking no for an answer. And as a result, and again, I will not mention the studio, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is an awesome yoga studio. I have nothing negative to say about it, but I'm fucking scarred. I've never gone back.
Can't protect against stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I've never gone back. All right. So we've had you here long enough. We close off with the same set of questions. I told you I was adding some questions. It's a work in progress. So the cheese and chocolate thing goes right out the window because you don't care if either exists for the rest of time.
No. I care.
You do?
If they both got eliminated, I'd be so happy.
Okay. Yeah, there it
Childhood
is.
trauma.
There it
And
is.
to this day, I still get ostracized. I'll be at dinner, people yell at me.
Really?
Just try it. It doesn't taste like cheese. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna throw up, man. And also, like, I don't care what you think of me. I will end the friendship on this right now. I got friends that accept that I don't eat cheese. So your move.
I accept it. It's why I pulled the fucking question out. But this is another question that I ask that I'm going to ask you. What is your go-to fast food order when it is 11 o'clock at night in Tampa and there's nothing going on and you and Frank have to go to the only fast food place that's open? What do you do? What's your option? Because if I go with you, Ian, to a fast food place and you're like, oh, I do this here, large. I'd be like, man, I don't really eat here, but yeah, I'll try this and that. Like, it's always different for me. Do you have a go-to fast food order that you either a little high or a little tired or a little give up-ish that you order?
Okay, first of all, if I smoke, I become ultra productive.
Okay.
So smoking will never put me in the mood to eat, which is probably rare, but I think the spliff also helps with that. I don't ever, honestly, it's easier now that I'm an adult and I'm organized and I don't drink and stuff like that. I don't ever put myself in that position.
Okay.
And that's the simplest thing.
So what's the closest thing to fast food you eat?
I explained it with Frank the other week. I don't eat fast food. Fast food isn't food. It's called fast shit.
So what? No, but I mean
fast shit.
So
it would funnel through my body if I ate it. I haven't eaten fast food in probably over a year or two. I don't know.
So is Chipotle fast food to you?
No, fast food to me is the McDonald's. The
okay,
Wendy's,
so
the
then
stuff that you would get.
Go move to fast casual.
No, I'll go back to your example. On a really busy day, if I know how my day is going to go, and I know if there's a chance of how it's going to go, especially on the road. I'm very cognizant of this.
It's the worst place for people who want to eat right.
So what I'll always make sure is Frank always at some point will probably want to get a Diet Coke from like a gas station or something like that. And at all gas stations, basically in America, they're going to have some form of either granola bars and or canned like chunky soup, chili, stuff like that.
Right.
So I'll grab a few different things that's enough to survive the night. And I just tell myself, don't be a bitch. And you also save a bunch of money.
Right. And so, and you see that in lobbies of hotels too. They give you the option to have stuff that you can kind of microwave in your room and stuff. All right.
So like Mincy, I consult with him on his health. And he used to always be like, well, we'll see how this weekend goes. I'm going, And I always say to Mincy, I don't give a fuck where you're going. How does that have anything to do with when you're choosing what to eat during the day? You're not going to jail. You're not going to be like, you're not getting 1 to 2 options here, bro. Like,
right.
You can look up where you're going. You can actually look these things up.
Easy
There's
nowadays.
a lot of information accessible to us. Most people that say, I had to eat this or that, brother, subconsciously you wanted to eat that and you put yourself in the position to do so.
And at my point in life, it is conscious. I know exactly what I'm doing to myself every time I do it. I do. I know exactly what I'm doing to myself.
Sorry, that was one question.
How do you take your eggs?
I don't eat eggs.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, right? So he's telling me that my fucking system is broken. When I gave him the fucking questions, and the first question is chocolate cheese. I don't eat either of them. What's your fast food go-to order? I'm talking to you now, Ian.
All
like
right,
he's not even fucking
let's
here.
just fucking lie.
You don't eat a fucking egg?
Scrambled eggs.
No, but you don't eat an egg?
We didn't have breakfast where I grew up. We didn't have breakfast.
Just like we have the internet to show you where to fucking eat in Peoria, you have breakfast here. And if you don't, I can bring you in a dozen.
I eat at 11. I have my soups.
So you just don't. How about because of the cheese, do you ever order pizza? Do you order pizza with no cheese?
So
do you not eat pizza? Because I know bread and sauce is up our alley.
I stopped eating pizza after Florence because in Florence, I had an actual pizza maker downstairs with a beautiful brick oven. And he'd make pizza marinara, just no cheese, fresh out of the oven, but with every fucking topping from the countryside. Just it looked like a painting. It was like the red sauce. And
Italy ruined you. It ruined you to be a shitty eater. No, it ruined your opportunity to be a shitty eater.
It made me realize that this, and it's not me trolling people that eat bad here. It's the people are set up to fail when it comes to diet in this country. And you have to actually like get outside of the matrix and be like, whoa, this is all fucked up. All of the stuff that's easily accessible and cheap is poison and it does nothing for me.
Yeah. And I'm agreeing, but I'm hypocritically agreeing because I do eat a lot as it's sort of fucking you, Ian. I've noticed you've been extremely quiet through this.
Hypocritical, brother.
How do you order your steak? Hard. So if you do a filet mignon, and I'm not judging you for the filet, but if you do a nice filet,
that's my favorite.
But okay, give it to me. What's that?
The famous steak of Florence.
But so how do you cook? How do you have your steak cooked?
So in Florence, I was really kind of slapped into shape on this particular topic.
Okay.
If you're in a proper restaurant, particularly there, but also I do this anywhere. I always, if they say, how do you want it? I always say whatever the chef thinks.
Good. Okay. Can I give you, and then when it comes out, if it is a little bit more on the medium rare to rare side, is that something that turns you off? Is like true, like almost like carnivores who like it like bloody.
Yeah. So in Firenze, the steak is as bloody comes. So I'm a master in that. Like I appreciate that, but there's a very fine line between a masterpiece and a catastrophe.
Okay. I'd say, what's your favorite beverage, hot or cold?
Sorry, you want one of each, or are you saying is it
hot or cold? Either one. What's that favorite beverage? Like, listen, I drink a lot of different things.
I'll tell you. It's cranberry juice mixed 50-50 with seltzer water. It's the greatest replacement for soda you'll ever find. The second best, but a little less healthy, is apple juice 50-50 mixed with seltzer water. You get the carbonation, you get that sugary pop in the back of your mouth. When you feel like insatiable, it hits the spot, but you eliminate so much of the shit.
Isn't that a good tip?
And you were shitting on his answers like 4 seconds ago.
Thank you.
No, but I have to shit on him, right? So that's our relationship. We shit on each other all the time. I do love you.
He introduces me to like famous people in the office. He's like, that's Jenks, raised by wolves, homeless, fucking crazy guy. But he saved Frank's life. He'll always throw that in it. And they're like down the hall. Like, nice to meet you.
Right. That doesn't insult you, though.
Katie Couric. Like Jesus Christ, Large.
What's the Tim Duncan of foods for you?
I actually love it.
Yeah.
I would say grilled chicken on rice with maybe if you can get some beans or a little pasta on the side. But grilled chicken, like actually white grilled chicken, and if you can see that they cooked it there, like you said, it's actually real. It's not processed. It's not from one of these big chains.
Doesn't have the grill mark spray painted on.
You could live on that for years and be fine.
Grilled chicken is yours. What's the most overrated food or drink? Maybe you think that people pretend to like it, or it's just something that you can't understand its popularity.
I think I can understand anything because, listen, I understand Frank.
Right.
It's not your fault.
Right.
I think now at 36, I would probably honestly go with alcohol in terms of overrated. And I'm not being a hater, but I think it's just wildly overrated. I think it's been built into our culture. A lot of it from marketing. Again, a lot going back to the monopolies. While they would stigmatize marijuana. I remember when I was like 12 years old, they had that core. I think it was, I don't know, one of the beer companies. It ended with, and those twins.
Yes.
And it'd be like two hot women that were twins. And I was thinking back, I was like, I guess they were insinuating like an incestuous threesome with two sisters while drinking alcohol. And like, this is what they were playing during primetime games. So it's very built in. And then when you're a teenager in high school and college in America and all the frats and all that crap, everybody like drinking, you drink to get drunk. You know what I mean? And that's how you have fun. And that's how you prove you're cool. And you throw up and you get into fights and they're like, fuck yeah. And then it was funny when I lived in Italy, you'd see like a 12-year-old having wine with their family. And the first time, and I, you know, being around Italians all the time, they told me first time I got drunk, I was with my father, and it happens on purpose. And I make an ass out of myself. And then like, it's humiliating. And then you realize it's not cool to get sloppy drunk. So I think that's one thing where it can bring out the worst in people. You can make really bad decisions, and it's almost never going to make the rest of your life better when you have an extra drink.
Is weed underrated?
I wouldn't say that, because there's definitely downsides to it.
Okay.
But what I would say, there's a huge difference between weed and alcohol. And
I put them head to head against each other every now and again. I've had conversations with people about graduation parties. I know your kid's underage, but we're going to have some kegs. And what would happen if somebody said, I know your kids are underage, but we're going to have some bongs. And it's like, people are like, oh yeah, my kid can go and have a couple of beers, but no, they can't hit a bong and do karaoke.
well, the problem is if they're hitting the bong, they're probably also having the beers. That's the tricky thing.
Yep.
It's not going to be one or the other. But if it was one or the other, I think any reasonable parent would probably rather have them smoke the weed. The really tricky one with marijuana is smoke into your lungs is never good. Not rocket science. But the mental part of it, the science of it, what the THC can do to you can be extremely damaging, and it can be extremely freeing, and it can be everything in between. So I think it's extremely foolish to, and this goes for most things, give just an umbrella opinion and say, this is what it does to everybody, and this is why you should or shouldn't do it. Look at what the person does. Look at how it actually affects the person. So for example, I have a friend, won't say his last name, first name Frank. He is very passionate about his sports teams. I don't think you know
I know
him.
a guy like him, but yeah.
Yeah. Nothing has ever calmed him down except for one thing,
An edible.
which is when I give him an edible that's twice as strong as he thinks it is. And then all of a sudden,
Things are okay.
the world isn't ending anymore.
Yeah.
And I tell him all
Pete
the time,
Alonso.
you should be taking these every day, man. Why do we have to get to
You're
fucking
microdosing.
absolute crisis points and then use them like trank darts?
Yeah.
Like, why don't we just get ahead of some of these problems? Because we know they're coming.
Yeah. If you could recommend any restaurant in the world, what would you recommend?
Okay, so Florence is in a valley. So on one of the hillsides, there's a city called Fiesole. In Fiesole, you can take the number 15 bus from Piazza Annunziata or just take a cab to Fiesole. It's actually the village, they say, that started Florence, because you can imagine in the old days, you'd build your town on top of a hill so you could see the invaders coming. So before Florence could flourish in the valley, there was some,
High ground.
old high ground. Fiesole is also where legend has it. That's where Albert Einstein used to go when he was in town to clear his mind. And if you ever go up there, you'll understand why. Now, when you get off the bus, when you get up to that little tiny village up on this hillside, it's absolutely gorgeous. It looks like someone's driveway. And it's just to turn right around when you get off the bus. Looks like someone's driveway, but it's wide open and very steep. If you walk straight up and then you go up to the right, it's called La Reggia, Reggia. There's a website. The owner's name is Leonardo. You tell him you know Matteo, and you will eat the best food with the best view of Florence and Tuscany.
Really?
Go at sunset. There's also an old church above it that you can go visit. It's completely divine. He used to have spliffs there ready for me. And
Respect.
he has balsamico that's aged. Some of it is like 80, 60 years old.
Candy.
And he'd give you little tastes of it.
Oh,
And he used to let me go up there every weekend. He'd charge me like 20 euros. And I'd have a full-blown steak, maybe bring a date, look really cool. That's my guy.
there's a chance that place is knocked down. It's now an Outback Steakhouse. And that's fucking terrible.
No, there isn't actually. I FaceTime with him probably once a month. I'll send someone there.
No, but I read yesterday it's happening.
No, it's not.
It's going on.
That's actually one of the other great things is they protect, local businesses that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's been in their family for generations. And that's like the balsamico's been there. It's been in the restaurant for like 80 years. It's not like they found it and it's 80 years old.
I can tell you that we used to go to a place, and this is a little bit more domestic, obviously. We used to take the kids down to Captiva every year. I can't remember what the hell the name of the beach club was that we used to go to. But the town that it was in didn't allow any chains. So I knew that when we would go down there for the week, when you come out of it in the golf cart,
Why don't we
you'd
have
go into
more
like
of that?
a little thing. And I know that, we'd go out for breakfast and the kids would have like these fresh made pancakes and berries and stuff. I would have stone crab claws for breakfast, like these fresh ones, and a Bloody Mary. Like, I'm not saying that I was eating healthy or clean or anything like that.
You were drinking in the morning with your kids.
There were just so many options there that weren't served to you by somebody wearing a paper hat. So I do miss that. Is there a meal that you'd be embarrassed for people to know you eat regularly? Something that might be gross that you just love. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like sometimes,
weird. I'll give you a really weird one. Really weird one.
Please.
So there are times when I'll go like, how do I describe this the right way without fully showing my crazy? Okay. I got flamentia at work. I got dementia in my personal life.
Right.
So you can either feel sorry for yourself or you can decide to become something different. You have to level yourself up. You have to harden yourself. And this is going to sound crazy, but I've gotten more hardcore at the gym. I've gotten more disciplined in my diet. And sometimes I'll do things like for dinner, I'll have like 2 or 3 cans of chickpeas, which is basically just mainlining protein.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. It doesn't taste like anything. And let me tell you something. The way a normal fucking person enjoys the taste of a fucking piece of chocolate fucking cake, I enjoy how it tastes
Chi-chi.
almost like shit.
Really?
Like cat litter.
Really?
Yeah. And I could put ketchup on it. I could do something. I could do anything.
Little oil and vinegar, salt and pepper.
I could even pour it into a fucking bowl, Large.
Yeah.
I got bowls. But guess what? I live alone.
So you eat out of a can.
I don't have a lot of light in my apartment.
Chickpeas in a dark apartment out of a can.
And ask Frank. He knows.
I'd be embarrassed too. What meal do you wish you can get back from your childhood? Maybe the restaurant's not there. Maybe the person who made it is no longer with us. Or maybe you're just a different person that you wouldn't enjoy it as much as you did back when you
There were
used to.
2 magnificently gigantic Italian women who ran a soup shop in Florence that would serve their soup out of bread bowls.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if they're still there, but next time I'm there, I'll check.
You'll search it.
It's not far from the Duomo. It's only a couple streets over. I used to bike around the Duomo every day on the way to and from work. It was crazy.
It's a nice view.
Hell of a view.
Yeah.
When you're biking right by it.
Finally, we're going to wrap this up right now.
How long have we talked?
About an hour and a half.
God damn.
Is that okay? You need something? It's 144.
Frank might fire me.
What's your death row meal? I don't know what you're going to be put to death, but I think it's probably a rage killing. And then when they go knock on the bars and say, hey, listen, what do you want to have before you roll off this mortal coil? This is your time. This is your cheat meal. You're not shitting yourself from cheese. You're not having a
The smell of cheese makes me throw up.
Right.
So that's not even like something I want.
Just no consequences.
For some reason, when I think of a death row meal, the first thing that pops into my head is Stu Feiner yelling, ready to roll, because every meal I've ever had with him is a death row meal. Yeah. So I feel like I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, do I still have a call? That'd probably be my question. Yeah. And then I'd call Stu. I'd be like, what do we do here?
Right.
But off the top of my head, my like go-to my whole life has probably been spaghetti and meat sauce, because that was the first thing when I was like 10. I taught myself how to cook spaghetti and meat sauce with, like from scratch, cutting up the onions, like all the cooking the meat separately so I don't get that shit into the salt, all that stuff.
Before we let you go, is there anything that you need to promote? Anything you have coming out? And again, this is the last episode. So we're right before 2026. I'm going to tell people to, obviously he'll be tagged in everything where you guys see us on social media. We'll ask you to collaborate and all that kind of stuff. So you can follow Jenks on all social media, particularly if you want to watch the workouts and stuff like that. What do you think people should watch of yours? Maybe you're most proud of?
I think everybody knows Frank Walks.
Sure.
Is the big show. I'm hoping that my fitness stuff catches on, but I'm not here to really promote myself. I think if anything, my biggest message would be to invest in yourself, promote yourself. Don't let all of the variables around you, don't let the environment around you define your decisions, and really try to be cognizant of decisions you're making, even if they're passive decisions. For example, like Large said, if you have a very busy, crazy life, and then it gets to the last second and you have to order dinner and then you compromise and eat something really shitty because it's the only viable option because you have a certain budget, that decision was kind of made yesterday because you didn't structure your day correctly. You didn't prioritize it. Or if you want to start exercising, don't doubt yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't make your decisions based on other people's perceptions. Just get up and do something. Do something, do something, do something. We have such short, little, weird periods of time on this random rock floating through space. We're a bunch of molecules crashing into themselves. People have this completely, incredibly stupid sense of self-importance. And what they don't understand is nobody really gives a shit. So you need to make sure you take care of yourself. And once you do that, you can do a lot to take care of other people. We're not talking about, starting foundations and doing huge, incredibly difficult things. We're talking about just calling your friends, checking on people, holding doors for people. When you put that energy out, you're going to get a lot more of it back. So I know it's the holiday season, but for the love of God, no pun intended, try to make it part of the fabric of who you are. Mm-hmm. And not a show we put on for a month or two. Make it who you are. And it's the crazy thing is, even if you're a selfish prick, it's going to get the best out of life for you. So even if you don't want to do good, by doing good, it's going to help yourself either way. So that's the biggest thing, Large.
Also follow him on Instagram.
There's a lot of darkness out there, man.
No, I think I got to be honest.
Just anger, and I just want people need to lighten the fuck up, and we need to lift each other up. Everybody's got so much more in common with each other than we realize.
I will tell you that even if it does sound preachy to some who don't know you, I can tell you with confidence that this guy does practice what he preaches. So I think that everything that you said over the last, hour and a half that we've been doing this has certainly come from the heart. It's not one of these bullshit things that you sometimes see people doing just for fucking clicks. Would you come back on again?
That's what she said. Yeah, of course. You kidding me? I don't normally try to put myself in front of the camera, but I like being on camera with you.
Okay, cool. It's a pleasure. This is Jenks. I appreciate you. I cherish our friendship. Go ahead before you go.
Can you just tell the story of the first time we met?
Oh, yeah. So the first time we'd met, there's a sex club on the west side now. So the first time we'd met, was it rough?
Basically a sex club. Yeah.
So we were in West Virginia and Jenks had to come in. I probably should have led with this. Jenks had to come in as a last minute replacement for a guy, one of the Able brothers, who are notorious.
No, to fight one of the Able brothers.
Yeah.
I was replacing Frank's champion.
Right. So the Able brothers were this notorious brotherly combo that fought in Rough and Rowdy. They're from like the Pittsburgh area, and their accents were just so entertaining. I mean, a little bit birth control to the ears. Like they were grating and stuff. One of them had started a beef with Frank, and then a gentleman was going to fight on Frank's behalf against the Able brothers. That guy had backed out. Jenks is like, I'll step in on a literal moment's notice. And just because I had boxed a little bit before and I'm a boxing guy, I don't know if you had asked me or if I had offered up. I said, can I just give you a couple of tips?
I asked you.
The only prep he had done to get in front of a couple of thousand people in the audience and 20,000 people pay-per-viewing at home was 5 to 10 minutes in a ring with me, where I just taught him a little bit of footwork.
I've never been in a boxing
ring. By the
ring.
way, I hadn't sat there and spoke to somebody who was a former athlete before, who was processing everything that I was saying through his own lens on how much of it he could do and how much he couldn't do. Because when he got into the ring, literally like hours later, I think you would use, I'm not taking any credit for the win. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
I know.
And he went in there and he smacked the shit out of this guy. And again, rips off the shirt and it's fucking Tarzan all of a sudden. And he went in there and, you know, the hair came out of the fucking bobby pin or whatever the fuck you use. And it was wildly, wildly entertaining. I was on the apron for it doing the announcing and stuff. It was wildly entertaining. And that's the first time we had met. And I'm backtracking. I am taking half the responsibility for what had happened that night. And that was a really cool way to start a friendship. You know what I mean? So we do bust balls a lot on this, but Jenks is a good friend of mine.
Showed me when you're in the ring and you're moving laterally, you don't want to cross your feet. You don't want to start doing one of these.
You don't have a center of gravity because he was sort of sidestepping. You know,
he was sort of completely.
He was. So he at one point as he was doing, I was like, stop.
Yeah.
And I breathed on him and he fell over.
Yep.
I was like, you have no center of gravity. And I also told him about the pop, right? Like you're not allowed in boxing.
Watch the fight.
Yeah.
I think the last thing Large said to me was, there's boxing and there's rough and rowdy.
Yeah.
This is rough and rowdy.
Yeah.
So he didn't encourage me to do like anything dirty, but he's like, if shit gets crazy, weird, whatever, don't stop until the ref stops you.
Yeah.
That was his thing. Like, don't assume anything. So if you watch the fight, I don't know what I'm doing at first. Once he hits me, I snap and I have him on his back in 13 seconds. 13-second mark, he's completely laid out. He gets up. And then he's trying to knock my hair out, which he does by the second round. But I just hook my elbow and I throw him. I completely throw him.
Yeah.
I think most boxers would probably get like, I don't know, at least a point
suspended.
Yeah. I tossed him across the ring.
Right.
And yeah, thank God the ref literally, he was just like, don't do that again.
Right.
Like, no problem.
Yeah. We'll always have West Virginia, you and I, Jenks.
Yeah, we'll have many more memories. But I appreciate it, Large. It was an honor being on.
Thanks, man. This you got to try this. We'll see you guys next week. Have a very happy New Year.